In today's video, I want to show you how to paint reflections in water using watercolour. And for this I'm going to use a painting of a wood duckling, which I've already completed, and I'll show you how easy it actually is. We will be creating a soft reflection, and that will complement the detailed duckling painting without it looking over the top and also overpowering it. Hi, I'm Paul Hopkinson and welcome to my channel. Now if you are new here, do spend some time exploring around because I've got masses of videos which will help you with your watercolour paintings along the way. For tips and techniques to equipment tips and also complete tutorials. Now then, for the water, if I just push that up a little bit, what I'm thinking of is probably have like an edge all the way around, something like that, around that kind of area. Just fading out to the white of the paper, a gentle blend out, that's all we need. There we go. So, first of all for the blue, what we're going to use is a little bit of cerulean blue and indigo. So cerulean blue and indigo mixed together. Have that to probably like a milky consistency. Then we've got alizarin crimson, burnt umber and cadmium orange. You're also going to need a mix of burnt sienna and raw umber with a little bit of French ultramarine. But also what I want you to do is get some burnt umber and lamp black mixed up to a creamy consistency as well. Alright, so let's make a start, and I'm going to switch to my size 18 brush. So first thing I want to do is wet the area. So here we go, ready? Let's do it. I'm going to wet probably up to about here, so it's a little bit higher up. You can just see the water on the paper. And you probably have to wet this 2 or 3 times, just so it stays wet longer. I can't get the words out today. We want it to stay wetter longer, so a bit more working time really is what we're looking for. So if I'm trying to think about that, it's going to be in line with that roughly, about there, something like that. Trying to touch the body of the wood duckling as well, so trying to avoid the feathers. So bring it down towards nearly the base of the wall of the paper, but I'm not going to put the paint all the way down to here. I'm going to stop the paint around here. By doing so, I think you can just about see where it's wet on the paper there. So that's better, look. So you can see it's wet to about here, so I'm going to stop the paint about here, so it just blends out to the white of the paper. So think about that all the way around, so probably about an inch or so inside the wet area, as far as you want to go when you add the colour in there shortly. Let's go again, let it soak in that little bit, then re-wet again. This is the fun bit, we get a little bit of water on there. And we're painting water with water, so there you go, what more can you ask for? So keep it simple, don't get too complicated with it. Underneath my lights here, it does dry very quickly. Okay, that'll do. So straight into that cerulean blue and indigo. And I'm looking at the photograph, I don't want to copy this because it's one of those things we don't need to copy. Not where water's concerned. Now this will lighten as it dries. I'm going to go as far as that. The wet area is to here, but I'm going to stop the line of water, line of colour about there. And just put a few odd ones here and there as well. And that's all we really need to do for the top part of the blue. We want this to fade out, remember. So I'm going to get some clean water and just very lightly just touch the tip of that just to fade it. And the same again, bear with me a minute to get some water. Just to fade that out to the top of the paper, just to the top of the area. I don't really want it so it's got a hard edge. So you can just see where it stops, that's about it. That'll do. Okay, and then down to there. I'm going to add a little bit as well, just a little bit further down, probably about to here. And that is really all we need on the blue. Honest, that's it. Just a few gaps in between. It's not right to the edge of the wet. You can see where the wet paper is on the edge there and how close I've gone. But I don't want to go right down to here, as I say, because I want to be able to cut this out at the end of the day as well. Okay, right. So let's just give this a quick blast with a hairdryer, and once it's dry, then we're going to add some colours over the top. Right, for this next stage, just want a little bit of planning before you go ahead. So I've got my size 18 brush again, just initially. Think about maintaining that bit of a blue patch on the photograph. We're not copying the photograph, As I say, not completely, we don't need to. So just very lightly wet the same way. We're going to get some streaks. I'm not worried about that because that's going to help actually in some respects. And just wet the area down below where that blue patch is. You can just see where my line of water is there now. It's pulling off some of that paint, which I don't mind in the slightest. It's going to help. Just wet that one area, so below that area. That's it. Just going to re-wet the area because I don't want it too colourful there. Just pulling off some of that blue paint, which is good. Softens it down as well, actually, doesn't it? Right, okay. So that's all we need to do. So that's wetted down. Now I'm going to go, first of all, in with that body colour. I'm going to add this in just initially below the bird itself. Just skipping places all the time. So all I want to do, don't come right down the paper though. So stop around there, that's fine. That's all we need to do. That's fine. And then I'm going to get a little bit of that beet colour. Add that in around here. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because it's nice and colourful, I'm going to put a little bit here and there as well. Just to add to it. That's all I'm going to do it. Just here and there. That's plenty. Then I'm going to go into the dark colour, which is that blacky brown. And I want a little bit of this more towards the top of the reflection. Probably around there really. Just carefully looking at this photograph and just see where it might be. That's it. That's all we need. As daft as it sounds, we don't really need much more than that. Otherwise it'll make it far too dark. This will of course dry lighter, so you have to bear that in mind when you add this in. Okay, I'm going to switch very quickly to my size 5. And now with the size 5, you can merge it around a little bit if you want to whilst it's wet. If it starts drying, be careful because obviously then you'll start pulling the paint off again. So you don't really want to be doing that too much really. And you can start moving bits around if you want to, allow the paint to blend in places as well. Just using the size 5. And then whilst it's still wet, as I say, try and keep it nice and horizontal by the way. We can then think about, try and do this so you can see it on the camera. Bring a few lines down here and there, just a few, not too many. Just a few. Like so. And then there. Try and keep it completely vertical. That's it. And then what I want to do, below where the white is, I'm going to very lightly pull off some paint. Keep it vertical. That's it. And then put a few little strikes between here and there. Anything that's white, while the paper's still damp, pull off a little bit of paint. Put a few strikes horizontally through it. Do the same again, another white area above it. A little bit of paint, give your brush a wash out as well because it'll start just moving the paint around. Another white area around there, but not quite that point there, so I'm going to come down a little bit lower. Just pull off a little bit of paint there. And that will do initially. Now, while that's drying, I think I can just about reach higher up. I'm going to go back to my 00 brush. I'm going to add in a little bit of this colour now, higher up. So where we've got the base, just around there, and a little bit higher up than that, we've got a few little horizontal marks underneath. Now while that's wet, gets a little bit of that blacky brown colour, add it into the colour as well. So it just kind of varies the colour a little bit within there. And then carry on. Just a few. Don't completely have it all in one line, so keep putting odd lines here and there as well. Just a few. The thing is, all this paint, it always dries a lot lighter. So sometimes you have to think about going darker to begin with. That's it. Just thicker in places, thinner, taper it out to a point. And there's going to be some little ones in between as well. Like so. A little bit of dark in there in places. Just into the wet paint. Just allow for it. it's quite dark actually in that area, isn't it? So we'll add a bit more in there. And then towards the front of the bird as well. Got a bit of a movement there, so I'm just going to dampen this down, this area, because I don't want it too harsh, that little area there. So just soften it back, a bit of runner paint down there. So obviously that's where you've got a bit of a bow wave going on. That's it coming through the water. And there, a bit of that beak colour. See, we're near the beak. Let's add a bit of that in there now. There's going to be a reflection of that within there as well. And I'm trying to see where that goes actually, because we're going to wet this area down again, just below. And add a bit of that body colour into here. Only a little bit, because it's quite white above that, isn't it? Because you've got to remember that reflections is literally a copy of what's above it, but in this case it's a very blurry copy. And a few more around there. Let's not cover up all the blue. Okay. And a few little tiny ones here and there as well. This is just using that body colour. And there we go. Do leave me a comment down below and let me know how you get on as well. I'll see you in the next video, which is all about how to paint a range of different textures, and that's not just including water.